Vikings complete their 3-game preseason undefeated as they beat the Philadelphia Eagles by a final score of 26-3. We're going to react to all of the craziness, a lot of good stuff to talk about with players. There's one player I particularly have a huge issue with, as this video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Let's start with the good, okay? Jaren Hall was fantastic for the first half and the drive or two he played in the second half. 17 of 25, 189 yards, 2 touchdowns, was sacked twice. But I tell you what, man, the way that he was able to maneuver around a chaotic pocket at times was very impressive. He was able to find receivers. Tristan Jackson, I don't even know why he was out there playing, because he's a lock to make this roster. Lucky Jackson, Trent Sherfield. I mean, Jaren Hall, quite honestly, and I think, and I said this during the live stream, that I think we're at the point now for Jaren Hall where an argument is to be made that he should be the QB2 for this roster ahead of Nick Mullins, because Nick Mullins, what else is there to see from this guy? This guy is awful. Every touchdown he throws, he follows that up with a turnover, either interception or a lost fumble. There's nothing else to see. At least with Jaren Hall, there's an unknown factor that I'm willing to explore, but I think because KOC and company decided for Mullins not to play, that told me that they already made up in their minds that Mullins is going to be the QB2 this year, and that Hall is going to have to compete with Matt Corral, who was god-awful today. 4 of 6 for 13 yards, 2.2 yards per attempt. That they were competing against each other for QB3. If anything, Jaren Hall, I think, will have the opportunity to compete for QB2 next year when Sam Darnold moves on, J.J. McCarthy comes back fully healthy, and then you can have Hall compete with Nick Mullins. But he was excellent today. The run game, and I think what helped Jaren Hall a lot was the strong run game that you had. The total numbers for this game doesn't really do it justice. They averaged throughout 4 quarters against Philadelphia 3.6 yards per carry. But that first half, led by Myles Gaskin, I want to say it was close to 5 yards, maybe close to 6 yards per carry. That helped out Jaren Hall in the passing game a lot. This run game is going to be super sick for Sam Darnold. Aaron Jones, Ty Chandler, Kane, you can have him as a special teams guy only. Keep him fresh. Myles Gaskin as your RB3. And I tell you what, man, DeWayne McBride, you look at his numbers, 11 carries for 34 yards, 3.1 yards per. Not great. He had his moments. I think it was just having to play with Matt Corral that really set him up for failure. But even in the passing game, this man is so strong. He made a play on the outside where things were falling apart, and it had to have been Jaren Hall, because Matt Corral didn't do jack. But Jaren Hall got the ball out to his right in a hurry. McBride caught it, and it was dead to rights. That play was blown up from the get-go. Somebody from Philadelphia on their defense, I think it was number 59, it doesn't matter, a big, heavy-set guy, got his paws on McBride, and I thought, oh, it's over with. McBride ran right through that. That's an incredibly strong running back to make that play happen and still managed to get like 7 or 8 yards on that play. But unfortunately, I think it's too crowded. This speaks to the depth that this team has. That you got to give props to Kwesi Adofo-Mensah. We can't talk about the depth that this team has and how deep they are without giving credit to the Vikings general manager. But I think in the case of DeWayne McBride, this is one of many positions where it's just too crowded. I don't think he's going to make the team. But he he had a pretty good game, I would say, all things considered. Andre Carter II, I think he had 2 sacks. I know he had the sack fumble to open up that second half. They're going to say, yep, he had 2 sacks. Okay, so that was to basically end the game. And also 2 tackles for losses. He was active, but also as many great plays that he made today, he made just as many awful plays. It makes me think of the rush attempt that he tried to have, trying to outmaneuver the tackle through pure athleticism. He took a shoulder check and got blown up right away. And the ball carrier went right through his lane. He did have the sack fumble recovered by James Lynch, and it was great. But I think because of the inconsistencies, which really before today, which was a mixed bag, before today, where he wasn't really a factor. I know there was a lot of hype around him last year, but I don't think there's any chance that he's going to make the 53. Lucky Jackson, oh man, bro, there were 2 penalties that should have been called against Philadelphia that still, despite those penalties not being called, the Vikings made great plays. Lucky Jackson, in the first half, caught a pass where he mossed an Eagles defender. An Eagles defender, by the way, that was doing the Jordan logo in Lucky Jackson's face, like not trying to make a play on the ball at all. This is before the ball even got a chance to get in Jackson's hands. Should have been a pass interference, but it wasn't. Dude got mossed. Lucky Jackson, that was like that. He's going to make this roster. The second penalty that should have been called but wasn't, but the Vikings still managed to make a play. Dwight McGlothern had a big 4th down stop. It was 4th and short, and they tried to hand the ball off Philadelphia. McGlothern got in the backfield, made the play for a tackle for loss, despite taking an illegal block in the back. No flag, doesn't matter, turnover on downs. Dwight McGlothern, quite honestly, I think he, along with Will Reichert, there's an argument to be had between those 2 players. I probably would say Will Reichert. As far as who was the player of the game today, he was outstanding. Bro, 3 tackles, a tackle for loss, and he also had a quarterback hit. And that's the other thing, too. That was on Tanner McKee, which it wasn't as sexy as it would have been if it were to be a sack, but he got around the quarterback's ankles, and McKee, was it McKee or was it Will Grier? It doesn't matter. Wasn't able to move, was uncomfortable, and had to throw up a prayer, and that was, I think, a turnover. I think that was 4th down, and that resulted in a turnover on downs. Dwight McGlothern, man, as far as looking at the future of this cornerback group, it's him and Mekhi Blackman. This is great. I've never seen a Vikings team this loaded in so many different areas. Crazy. And going to Will Reichert, I mean, maybe this is a bit jinxing it, but I mean, this is a professional football team. Me making any sort of declarations isn't going to cast some sort of curse or whatever. Well, you would have been good, but realistic Randy said this, so we gotta punish you for this. No. Will Reichert might be the Vikings' curse breaker at the kicker position. This entire preseason, the way he's been covered in training camp, the man has been just impeccable throughout. But in preseason, the only miss that I could think of was a blocked field goal attempt, poor protection up front. I can't remember if that was the Bengals game, if that was the Browns game or the Raiders game. But that's it. Outside of that, I'm pretty sure he's been perfect. Today certainly was. He had, field goals, 4 for 4, 2 for 2 on extra points. Had a long today of 57 yards. And when that got pointed out to me on the live stream, I was like, get the hell out of here. 57 yards? This man looks like he should be working in IT somewhere in Silicon Valley. He looks like should be working in the basement of a corporate office. No, he's a professional football player, damn it. Will Reichert, I see you, man. And for going back to Jaren Hall, how good the offense was, I mean, you had 4 possessions, no punts in the first half. You scored all 4 times. That's this is amazing. And now for as far as I'm going to get to the players that this shouldn't be a shock that they're going to get cut. But before I get to that, sign up for BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. Get a 125% bonus on your first 3 deposits up to $2,000. The latest bet that I'm a fan of is Justin Jefferson to win Offensive Player of the Year, plus 900. I'll take that bet all day long. And now we get to the players who weren't so hot. Talked about Andre Carter II. Jalen Williams, there was a play by an Eagles tight end, I think number 87. Jalen Williams, number 38, was covering this tight end, clear size advantage to the tight end, and got bullied off the line of scrimmage immediately off the release of the snap. But still, despite that, was still in a position to possibly make a play, except he was doing a spinneroonie midair and threw at the last second his arm up, but wasn't able to make that play. And that tight end ended up going off for like a 25-yard big play for Philadelphia. He was abysmal today. But I tell you what, man, I was not expecting to talk about offensive tackles, offensive linemen at all. Not all offensive line play. Maybe Ed Ingram if he has suited up, but he didn't. So that tells me he's going to make this roster. Dalton Reisner, probably not. I understand that. But Walter Rouse, oh my God, number 78. This score, the Vikings should have won by a final score of 30-3. But they didn't. It ended up being 26-3 on a drive. Don't remember which one. Doesn't matter. As Jaren Hall was dealing, slinging that thing, got deep into the red zone on 3rd down. And let me move my chair out the way. I said I would do this on the live stream for the post-game vid, and I'm going to do it. Walter Rouse, this dude better not make the team. I saw the worst pass blocking attempt in my life, and that's not exaggeration. 3rd down, chance to score a touchdown. Set hut, drops back, and as the pass rusher is making his way around Walter Rouse, he dips his head underneath the pass rusher's arms and gives a half-ass pass blocking attempt like, Jaren Hall gets sacked, and you got to settle for the field goal from Will Reichert. I've never seen anything like that. That was dancing. What he did, dipping under like that, like he's bobbing and weaving, playing boxing. Like, hey, you got your foundation. Hey, knees are bent, you're solid. Boom, boom, boom. This ain't boxing. This is football. What the hell was that? He better not make this team. That's I wasn't expecting to talk about offensive line play at all. That was awful. But I'm off it. I'm gonna let it go. There's been too many good things to happen this preseason, in this preseason game, to let one Dancing with the Stars pass block attempt ruin it all for me. I'm not gonna let that happen. Thanks again to the folks at BetUS Sportsbook and Casino. We'll see you next time.